Normandy, June 15th, 1944. Dawn. The mist clings to the hedgerows like something alive, something patient. The Bocage country of northwestern France is a maze of ancient stone walls and earthen banks topped with thorny vegetation. Each field is a fortress. Each hedgerow hides death. Obergefreiter Klaus Hartmann, 19 years old, from Leipzig, moves at the front of his patrol. 12 men. Veterans of the 12th SS Panzer Division. They survived the Eastern Front. They survived the Russian winter. They survived Kursk. They will not survive today. Klaus doesn't know this yet. He checks his corners. His Kar 98K rifle sweeps left, then right. The morning is silent except for the crunch of boots on gravel and the distant rumble of artillery to the south. His breath fogs in the cold air, 4 degrees Celsius, too cold for June. Behind him, Unteroffizier Werner Vogel whispers a joke about French wine. Someone laughs quietly. The sound is quickly swallowed by the mist. Klaus raises his fist. The patrol stops. He thinks he heard something, a branch snapping. Or maybe nothing. The hedgerows play tricks. Every shadow holds a threat. Every rustle could be wind or enemy. He signals forward. The patrol moves again. 300 yards to their left, invisible behind a wall of brambles and earth, a man watches through a scope. His breathing is slow, controlled. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. His heart rate is 54 beats per minute. The man's name is Callum Mackay. He is 24 years old. He is from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. He has not moved in 6 hours. His ghillie suit is caked with mud and woven with local grass. To the German patrol, he does not exist. He is earth, he is stone, he is shadow. Klaus never sees him. The crack comes first, a sound like a branch breaking, then the wet thump of impact. Klaus's helmet flies backward. He drops like a puppet with cut strings. No cry, no final word. Just gone. The patrol scatters. Men dive into ditches. Rifles swing wildly at empty hedgerows. Werner screams for covering fire. Machine gun rounds tear into bushes 300 yards to the right. The wrong direction. There is no muzzle flash, no smoke, no target, only silence. And somewhere in that silence, 300 yards away, Callum Mackay works his bolt. The Lee Enfield cycles smoothly. Brass ejects. A new round chambers. His eye never leaves the scope. He exhales slowly, settles the crosshairs on a second target, a man with sergeant stripes who is trying to organize the chaos. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. The rifle speaks again. Werner Vogel's chest explodes. He falls backward into the ditch. Now there is screaming, real screaming, the kind that comes when men realize they are fighting ghosts. The surviving Germans do not return fire. They cannot. There is nothing to fire at. They press themselves into the earth and pray the next bullet is not theirs. One of them, a boy who looks younger than Klaus, whispers 2 words that have circulated through Wehrmacht ranks since D-Day. 2 words that carry more fear than any artillery barrage or tank assault. Kanadische Geister, Canadian ghosts. Behind the German lines, intercepted radio traffic crackles with panic. The signals intelligence officer, a man too old for combat and too skilled to waste, transcribes the frantic German transmissions. His hand shakes slightly as he writes. Sie sind überall. They are everywhere. Wir sehen nichts. We see nothing. Unsere Offiziere sterben. Our officers are dying. He underlines the last transmission 3 times before passing the report up the chain. The count has been rising since D-Day. 9 days. 127 German officers confirmed killed by Canadian sniper fire. 127 men who will never give another order. 127 command structures shattered. This is not war as it was taught in the academies. This is hunting, and the hunters are winning. But who are these hunters? Where did they come from? What makes a man so patient, so invisible, so deadly, that an entire Wehrmacht division learns to fear his name? The answer lies thousands of miles away. It lies in the frozen wilderness of Canada. It lies in the lives of 4 men who learned to hunt long before they learned to kill. Callum Mackay grew up on the edge of the world, Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Gulf of St. Lawrence in a collision of wind and wave that has carved the coastline into cliffs and coves for 10,000 years. The winters there are brutal, the summers are short, the land does not give, it must be taken. His family came from Scotland 3 generations back. The Mackays were fishermen and hunters. They had to be both. The cod brought income, the deer and moose brought survival. Callum's father, Ian Mackay, taught him to shoot when he was 7 years old. Not on a rifle range with paper targets, on the ice floes in March, hunting seals. The targets moved, the platform moved, the wind tore at your face and froze your fingers to the trigger. If you missed, the seal disappeared into black water and your family went hungry. "Patience," his father would say, crouched beside him on the ice. "The animal doesn't know you're here. That's your only advantage. The moment you exist, you lose." Callum learned. By age 12, he could hit a seal from 300 yards on a moving floe in a crosswind. By 15, he could track a moose through 3 feet of snow for 2 days without losing the trail. By 17, he could sit motionless in a tree stand for 10 hours in -20 degrees Celsius and take a running deer at 400 yards. He became invisible, not through training, through necessity. But invisibility has a cost. December 1938. Callum was 18. His father went out in the fishing boat during a winter storm. The boat came back. His father did not. They found Ian Mackay 3 days later, washed up on the rocks near Louisbourg, frozen solid, still wearing his father's watch, still holding the tiller in his frozen hand. Callum became the provider that day. His mother Margaret was 54. His younger sister Moira was 14. The responsibility fell on him like a stone. He fished, he hunted, he provided. He disappeared into the wilderness for weeks at a time, coming back with enough deer and rabbit and fox pelts to keep them through the winter. He did not speak much. He did not need to. The work spoke for him. Then came 1942, August 19th, the Dieppe raid. Canadian 2nd Division assaulted the French port in a disastrous attempt to test German defences. 5,000 Canadians landed. 3,000 became casualties. 1,000 died on the beach. Among the dead was Angus Mackay, Callum's older brother, 26 years old, shot to pieces on the seawall at Pourville. The telegram arrived 3 days after the battle. Margaret Mackay read it once, folded it carefully, placed it on the kitchen table. She did not cry. Cape Breton women did not cry where others could see. She looked at Callum, 22 years old, silent as stone, already carrying the weight of a man twice his age. "Will you go?" she asked. Callum looked at the telegram, at his brother's name, at the words, "Killed in action." "Yes," he said. That was all. No speech, no declaration, just one word, because some debts can only be paid in kind. 3 weeks later, Callum Mackay enlisted in the Canadian Army. The recruiting officer looked at his background. Fisherman, hunter, Cape Breton wilderness expert. The officer made a single note on his file. Sniper candidate. Training camp, Southern England, spring 1943. Rain. Always rain. The Canadian forces are massed in Britain, preparing for something big. No one knows what, no one says. But the training intensifies, the tempo increases, something is coming. In a miserable camp near Aldershot, 4 men are pulled from their units and told to report to a building with no windows and guards at every door. They do not know each other. They have never met. But someone, somewhere, has looked at their files and seen something. Callum Mackay, 23 years old, Cape Breton, fisherman and hunter, scored expert marksman in basic training without ever attending a shooting class. The instructor noted, "This man already knows how to kill. He just needed the uniform." Etienne Deschamps, 24 years old, from Abitibi, Quebec, son of a French-Canadian trapper, grew up in the boreal forest 300 miles north of Montreal, speaks French and broken English.
We from his father can build a shelter from spruce boughs and start a fire in a snowstorm. Disappeared into the wilderness for 3 months when he was 16, came back with enough pelts to pay off his father's debts. The recruiting officer wrote, "This man is more comfortable in the forest than in civilization." Angus Rutherford, 27 years old, Saskatchewan, Métis heritage, 1/4 Cree on his mother's side. Grew up on a wheat farm so large you could walk for 2 days and never leave your own land. Learned to shoot by eliminating coyotes that killed the chickens and gophers that ate the grain. At age 14, he shot a coyote at 600 yards with iron sights. His father measured the distance 3 times because he didn't believe it. Angus never missed. The training officer noted, "Best natural marksman I have seen in 26 years of service." Duncan MacLeod, 22 years old, Yukon Territory. Son of a gold prospector who worked claims near Dawson City. Grew up in the coldest inhabited region of Canada. Learned to hunt caribou and grizzly bear in conditions that would kill most men. Once spent 4 days trapped in a cabin during a blizzard with no food and only 3 bullets. Emerged with 3 dead rabbits and a smile. The recruiter wrote, "This man does not quit. Ever." 4 men, 4 hunters, 4 strangers, about to become something else entirely. The door opens. A man enters. Sergeant Major Douglas Kerr, 46 years old, lean as a wolf, eyes that have seen too much. A single scar runs from his left temple to his jaw. He earned it at Vimy Ridge in 1917, 26 years ago. Another war, another generation of young men learning to kill. Kerr looks at the 4 recruits. They stand at attention. Wet uniforms, muddy boots, faces that show nothing. "You have been selected," Kerr says. His voice is gravel scraped over iron. "Each of you scored in the top 1% for marksmanship. Each of you has extensive hunting experience. Each of you can survive in conditions that would kill ordinary soldiers." He pauses, lets the silence stretch. "That is why you are here. But listen carefully. Hunting deer and hunting men are not the same thing. A deer does not shoot back. A deer does not call artillery on your position. A deer does not hunt you while you hunt him." Kerr walks slowly in front of them. "You will learn to become invisible, not camouflaged, invisible. You will learn to move across open ground without being seen. You will learn to lie in one position for 12, 16, 20 hours without moving, without eating, without pissing, without existing." He stops in front of Callum. "You will learn to make your first shot count, because you may not get a second. You will learn to shoot through wind, through rain, through snow, through conditions that would make most men give up. You will learn to estimate range by eye, to calculate wind drift in your head, to adjust for temperature and humidity and the curvature of the earth itself at long range." Kerr steps back, looks at all 4. "You will become snipers. Not soldiers who shoot well, snipers. There is a difference. A soldier kills to take ground. A sniper kills to break the enemy's will to fight. You will learn to instill fear, to make an entire company of men afraid to move because somewhere out there you are watching, waiting." He produces 4 rifles. Lee Enfield No. 4, Mark I. Standard Canadian infantry rifle. Except these are not standard. Each one has a wooden cheek piece added to the stock. Each one has a telescopic sight mounted above the action. Each one has been hand-selected from thousands for accuracy. The Lee Enfield No. 4, Mark I, T for telescopic, Kerr says. This weapon was designed for fast, accurate fire. The bolt action is short throw. You can cycle a new round without lifting your eye from the scope. Magazine holds 10 rounds. Rate of fire is 20 to 30 aimed shots per minute if you're good. The Germans use the Kar 98K. Excellent rifle, but slower. 5 rounds, 15 shots per minute at best. That difference will save your life. He hands each man a rifle. Callum takes his. The wood is worn smooth. The metal is blued dark. The scope is the number 32 telescopic sight. 3.5 times magnification. Built for the Bren light machine gun originally, repurposed, pragmatic, British engineering at its finest. "This is now your life," Kerr says. "You will sleep with this rifle, eat with it, shit with it. It will become an extension of your body. You will know its weight, its balance, the exact pressure needed on the trigger, the sound it makes when the action cycles. Everything." He looks each man in the eye. "You will learn to kill from distances the enemy thinks are safe. You will learn to kill without mercy, without hesitation, without remorse. Because the moment you hesitate, you die. And if you die, your spotter dies. And if your spotter dies, the men you were sent to protect die. This is not a game. This is not sport. This is war, reduced to its most fundamental equation. You, them. One bullet, one outcome." Callum looks at the rifle in his hands, feels the weight, the balance. Something clicks into place, a recognition. This is the same as the seal on the ice floe, the same as the deer at 400 yards, the same as every shot his father taught him to make, except now the target shoots back. "Training begins tomorrow," Kerr says. "Zero dark 30. If you survive the next 6 weeks, you will deploy to combat. Sicily, Italy, France. Wherever Canadian forces go, you will go first. You will clear the path. You will eliminate the officers, the machine gunners, the spotters, the radio men, anyone who makes the enemy function. You will dismantle their command structure, one bullet at a time." He turns to leave, stops at the door. "One more thing," Kerr says. "You four will work as a unit, not individually. Snipers work in pairs, shooter and spotter. But 4 of you together makes a team. You will become something the Germans have never faced before. A coordinated sniper element. While British snipers work alone and American snipers are still learning their trade, you will perfect it." The door closes. The 4 men stand in silence, looking at each other, strangers bound by rifles and purpose. Etienne is the first to speak. His English is rough, accented. "They send us to kill officers, yes?" he says. "That's what the man said," Duncan replies. His Yukon drawl is thick. "Good," Angus says quietly. His Métis features are still, unreadable. "Officers gave the order at Dieppe. Officers sent 3,000 Canadians to die on that beach. If we kill enough officers, maybe fewer men die next time." Callum says nothing. He's looking at the rifle, thinking of his brother, thinking of the telegram, thinking of the words, "killed in action," and what they actually mean. Blood, torn flesh, a young man dying far from home while other men's orders played out in screaming chaos. He looks up, meets the other's eyes. "We learn everything they teach us," he says, "and then we make the bastards pay." 6 weeks. The training is brutal. They learn to stalk, hour after hour, crawling across muddy fields under the watch of instructors with binoculars who mark every mistake. The goal is to approach within 200 yards of an observer without being seen. Most men fail. The 4 hunters do not. They already know how to become part of the landscape. They learn to build ghillie suits, not the factory-made camouflage of later wars, hand-sewn burlap and netting attached to their uniforms. Each man custom builds his own. They add strips of cloth, lengths of twine, local grass and foliage woven into the mesh. The goal is not to hide. The goal is to break up the human silhouette, to cease being recognizable as a man and become a mass of texture and shadow that the eye slides past without registering. Etienne excels at this. His trapper background gives him an instinctive understanding of camouflage. He spends 16 hours building his first ghillie suit. When he is done, he lies down in a field of grass. The instructors walk past him 3 times. They do not see him until he moves. "Fantôme," he says quietly. "Ghost." The name sticks. They learn to calculate range, distance estimation without technology, using the mil-dot reticle in the scope, using the size of known objects, using the sharpness of detail through the optic. At 600 yards, can you see the buttons on a man's uniform? At 800? At 1,000? Angus has a natural gift for this. Growing up on the prairies, where the horizon stretches forever, taught him to judge distance by eye. He can estimate range within 10 yards at distances up to 800. The instructors test him repeatedly. He never misses by more than 15 yards. They learn wind reading, the hardest skill. Wind drifts a bullet horizontally. At long range, a 10-mile-per-hour crosswind can push a bullet 18 inches off target, miss by 18 inches, and the enemy officer lives, and calls artillery, and kills your friends. They learn to read the wind by watching grass blow, by feeling it on their face, by watching mirage through the scope, by observing bullet splash if they have the luxury of a ranging shot, by instinct and experience and the accumulated wisdom of 10,000 rounds fired in every condition imaginable. They learn to shoot from unconventional positions, not from a nice, stable bench rest with sandbags and a perfect cheek weld, from mud, from rubble, from the crook of a tree, from inside a building, from a rooftop, from prone, sitting, kneeling, standing. From positions where comfort is impossible and stability is a dream. They learn that the first shot from a cold barrel behaves differently than subsequent shots. The metal has not yet heated and expanded. The first shot is the most important. It must kill, because the sound of that first shot will give away your position, and the enemy will respond with mortars or machine guns or artillery that will obliterate the square kilometer around you. They learn the art of the cold bore shot. One bullet, one kill. No second chances. Duncan excels at this. His Yukon upbringing taught him patience. He can sit absolutely still in freezing conditions, mind calm, heart rate controlled, and deliver a perfect shot when the moment comes. The instructors note that his cold bore accuracy is 94%. Unheard of. They learn to work as spotter-shooter teams. The spotter uses a 20-power spotting scope to observe the target area. He calculates range, wind, elevation. He watches for threats. He guides the shooter onto target. He observes the shot, calls the hit, watches for enemy response, plans the egress route. The shooter focuses on one thing, the shot. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. Crosshairs settle. Finger pressure. 4.5 pounds. 5 pounds. The rifle speaks. The target falls. Then they switch. The shooter becomes the spotter becomes the shooter. Because if one dies, the other must be able to continue the mission. They learn patience, real patience, the kind that allows a human being to lie in his own filth for 18 hours without moving, without complaining, without existing, waiting for a target that may never appear. They learn to urinate in their pants, because standing up to find a tree will get you killed. They learn to ignore hunger, because eating requires movement. They learn to ignore cold, because shivering creates vibration, and vibration ruins the shot. They learn that sniping is 99% discomfort and 1% trigger pull, and that 1% must be perfect. By the end of 6 weeks, Sergeant Major Kerr observes them in the field. They execute a stalk against experienced observers. All 4 approach within 150 yards without being detected. They establish firing positions. They engage targets. 4 shots, 4 hits. They egress without being located. Kerr gathers them afterward. "You are as ready as training can make you," he says. "The rest you will learn in combat, or you will die learning. Either way, you will learn quickly." He hands Callum a small booklet, the Canadian Sniper Manual. 40 pages of doctrine and technique. "Read this," Kerr says. "Memorize it, live it. And remember one thing, the manual will teach you how to kill. It will not teach you how to live with what you have done. That, gentlemen, is something no manual can prepare you for." Callum looks at the booklet, then at Kerr's scarred face, the eyes that have seen too much. "How many did you kill, sir?" Callum asks. "At Vimy." Kerr is silent for a long moment. "Enough to know that every one of them still watches me at night," he says finally, "and that no victory is worth the price we pay to win it." He leaves them with that. July 10th, 1943. Sicily. Operation Husky. The Allied invasion of Sicily. The first step in liberating Europe. 160,000 men, 3,000 ships, 4,000 aircraft. The largest amphibious assault in history to that point. Callum Mackay, Etienne Deschamps, Angus Rutherford, and Duncan MacLeod land with the Canadian 1st Division at Pacino on the southeastern tip of the island. The beach is chaos. Men, equipment, vehicles, the smell of diesel and sweat and fear. They move inland quickly. The Germans are in full retreat, but retreat does not mean defeat. The Wehrmacht is pulling back to prepare defensive positions in the hills. Every town becomes a fortress. Every ridge becomes a killing ground. The 4 snipers are detached from their regular units. They operate independently, hunting. Their first mission is simple. A German artillery observation post has been directing fire on Canadian positions. 3 days, 16 casualties. The artillery observers are dug in on a hillside 2,000 yards away. Too far for infantry assault, perfect for snipers. They move at night. 4 hours of crawling through olive groves and rocky terrain. By dawn, they are in position, 500 yards from the German observation post, close enough to see individual men through their scopes, close enough to count the buttons on their uniforms. Callum is shooter, Etienne is spotter. Through the 20-power scope, Etienne watches. 2 German soldiers, 1 officer with binoculars, 1 radioman calling coordinates. Officer first, Etienne whispers, then radioman. Range 520 yards, wind left to right, 8 miles per hour. Elevation 115 feet above our position. Callum adjusts his scope, settles in behind the rifle. His breathing slows. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. The officer stands, raises his binoculars, scans the Canadian lines. Callum's finger tightens. The trigger breaks clean. The rifle recoils. The bullet travels 520 yards in 0.9 seconds. The officer's binoculars explode. Glass and metal and bone fragment into the morning air. He drops. The radioman looks up, confused, terrified, looking for the source of the shot. Callum cycles the bolt, chambers a new round, settles the crosshairs. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. The radioman falls before he can speak a word into his handset. Both down, Etienne says calmly. No movement, we go. They crawl backward, 300 yards, then they stand and walk away. Behind them, German soldiers scramble to the observation post. They find 2 bodies. No shooter, no sign of where the shots came from, just death delivered from silence. That night Callum sits alone, his first 2 kills. Men he saw clearly through the scope. The officer had been young, maybe 25, blonde hair, clean-shaven. He had been scanning for targets to kill Canadians when Callum killed him first. Callum tries to feel something. Guilt, remorse, horror. He feels nothing, just a cold calculation. 2 enemies eliminated, artillery stopped, Canadians saved. Is this what he has become? A man who kills without feeling? He thinks of his brother, Angus, dead on the beach at Dieppe, shot to pieces by German machine guns. Did those Germans feel anything? Or did they just pull triggers and watch Canadians fall like wheat before the scythe? He thinks of his father's words. Patience. The animal doesn't know you're here. That's your only advantage. Except these animals are men, and somewhere they have mothers and sisters and families who will receive telegrams just like the one that destroyed his own. He pushes the thought away. There is no room for it. Not here. Not now. Later. After the war. If he survives, he will think about it then. For now, there is only the mission, the rifle, the target, the shot, and the slow, terrible mathematics of survival. 3 weeks in Sicily. The 4 snipers move through the campaign like ghosts. They eliminate 34 German soldiers, officers, sergeants, machine gunners, radiomen, artillery spotters, anyone who makes the German army function. Word spreads. The Canadians have snipers. Good ones. German units start removing rank insignia. Officers hide their binoculars. No one wants to be the next target. But the 4 hunters are learning something else, something darker. They are good at this, very good. The skills they learned in the wilderness translate perfectly to war. The patience, the invisibility, the ability to judge distance and wind and take the shot that matters. They are becoming something their fathers never intended. They are becoming weapons, precision instruments of death. And with each kill, it becomes easier. That is the terrifying truth that no one speaks aloud. The first kill is hard. The 10th kill is routine. By the 30th kill, you do not even remember their faces. You remember the wind speed, the range, the drop, the mechanical details of the shot, but not the man. Never the man. Because if you remember the man, you cannot take the next shot, and there is always a next shot. Sicily ends in mid-August. The Germans evacuate to mainland Italy. The Allies have won. At a cost. 5,000 Allied casualties. But the invasion succeeded. The 4 snipers receive commendations. Callum is promoted to corporal. They are given 2 weeks' rest. They do not rest. They train. They refine their techniques. They study German tactics. They prepare for the next campaign. Because this is only the beginning. Sicily was practice. Italy will be the test. And Normandy, when it comes, will be the final exam. But before Normandy, before the bocage and the hedgerows, and the day Klaus Hartmann dies without ever seeing his killer, there will be winter. There will be Ortona. There will be a battle in the rubble, where the 4 hunters will discover just how far they are willing to go to win. And there will be Friedrich Weber, Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, the best German sniper on the Western Front, the man who will hunt the hunters. But that story begins in the mountains of Italy, in the frozen hell of December 1943, where war becomes personal and killing becomes art, and 4 Canadian hunters will earn a name that will haunt German soldiers for the rest of their lives. Die Geister, the Ghosts. December 20th, 1943, Ortona, Italy. The town sits on the Adriatic coast like a broken tooth. Medieval stone buildings, narrow streets, a harbour that once brought prosperity. Now it brings only war. The Germans have turned Ortona into a fortress. Every building is a bunker. Every window is a firing position. Every alley is a kill zone. The 1st Canadian Division must take it, must clear it building by building, room by room, body by body. This is not warfare. This is butchery. The 4 snipers arrive on December 20th. The temperature hovers just above freezing, rain mixed with sleet, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. Callum Mackay has been in combat for 5 months now. Sicily taught him the basics. The Italian campaign has refined them. His kill count stands at 47. 47 men who will never go home. He tries not to think about that number. The moment you start counting, something inside you breaks. But the counting happens anyway, in the dark, when you cannot sleep, when you close your eyes and see the faces you promised yourself you would not remember. Etienne has 39 kills, Angus has 36, Duncan has 28. Together, they have eliminated 150 German soldiers in 5 months, more than an entire company, 4 men doing the work of hundreds. The Canadian commanders notice. The Germans notice more. Wehrmacht intelligence reports captured later will describe the Canadian snipers as übernatürlich, supernatural. They appear from nowhere, kill with precision, vanish like smoke. Officers die at breakfast, sergeants die while organizing their men. Machine gunners die while loading belts. Radio operators die mid-transmission. No one is safe. Nowhere is safe. The Canadians have brought something new to the war, not just marksmanship, terror. Ortona is hell made of stone. The Canadians enter from the southwest. The Germans defend from prepared positions. Every intersection is covered by machine gun fire. Every building has been booby-trapped. The rubble itself is deadly. Walls collapse, floors give way. The architecture of centuries becomes the weapon of days. The 4 snipers operate differently here. No long-range shots across open fields. No patient stalks through grass. This is close work. 200 yards maximum, often less. Urban sniping is chess played with bullets. Callum and Etienne work the north sector. Angus and Duncan take the south. They do not coordinate by radio. Radio chatter gets intercepted. They coordinate by results. When German resistance in one sector collapses, they know their brothers are working. December 21st, dawn. Callum lies prone in the rubble of what was once a bakery. The ovens are cold. The building is a skeleton. Through a gap in the collapsed wall, he can see across a plaza, 40 yards. A German strongpoint occupies the town hall. Solid stone, thick walls, perfect defensive position. He has been watching for 3 hours. No movement. The Germans are disciplined. They know snipers are hunting. Beside him, Etienne scans with the spotting scope. 20 power magnification. He can see details, the texture of the stone, the sandbags in the windows, the muzzle of a machine gun. There, Etienne whispers, 3rd window, 2nd floor, shadow moving. Callum shifts his rifle, finds the window, waits. A man appears, brief, maybe 2 seconds, long enough to scan the plaza. Not long enough for most snipers, long enough for Callum. The shot is instinct. No time for breathing exercises, no time for calculations, just recognition of the moment. The trigger breaks. The rifle speaks. The German falls back into shadow, did not exit. Probably dead, possibly wounded. They wait. Patience, the cardinal virtue. 5 minutes later, another German appears at the same window, looking down, probably checking on the first man. Etienne's voice is cold. 2nd target, same window. Callum fires again. The 2nd German drops. Now the Germans know. Sniper active. They will not show themselves again at that window. But there are other windows, other rooms, other moments of carelessness. This is the war Callum has learned. Not the grand sweeps of armies across maps. The small moments, the 2 seconds of exposure, the mistake, the punishment. Urban warfare compresses everything. In open country, you kill at 600 yards. The target is distant, abstract. Through the scope, they are small, almost toy-like. It is easier to forget they are human. In Ortona, you kill at 50 yards. You see their faces clearly. You see their expressions. You see the moment they realize death has found them. You see them fall. You see the blood. There is no abstraction here, only the brutal intimacy of close quarters killing. Etienne excels in Ortona. His trapper's instinct for camouflage reaches new levels. December 22nd. He spends 6 hours constructing a hide inside a collapsed building. He uses brick dust, mortar powder, torn curtains, wire mesh from destroyed furniture. He builds himself into the rubble, becomes part of the destruction. When he is finished, you can stand 5 feet away and not see him. The human eye expects patterns, symmetry. Etienne gives it neither. He is texture without form, shadow without definition. He takes position at dawn. A German command post operates across the street, a building somehow still intact. Officers come and go, making plans, coordinating defense, organizing the slaughter. Etienne watches, counts, identifies. The colonel with the Iron Cross, the major with the maps, the 3 captains who relay orders, the radio operator who connects them to artillery support. He does not shoot immediately. Patience. Let them relax. Let them think this building is safe. This moment is safe. At 1000 hours, all 5 are present. A meeting, planning the day's defense. Etienne shoots the radio operator first. The man dies before his hand reaches the handset. No artillery support now. 4 seconds. Cycle the bolt. Acquire the next target. A captain turning toward the sound. 2nd shot. The captain falls across a table. Maps scatter. 8 seconds. 3rd target. Another captain running for the door. 3rd shot. He drops in the doorway. Blocks the exit. 12 seconds. The major draws his pistol. Looking for a target. Seeing nothing but rubble and shadow. 4th shot. The major dies not knowing where his killer hid. 16 seconds. The colonel, the Iron Cross gleaming on his chest, stands frozen, calculating. Where is the shooter? Can he reach cover? What are his odds? 5th shot. He never finishes the calculation. 5 men, 20 seconds, 5 shots, 5 kills. Etienne does not move. German soldiers will come to investigate. He will wait, hidden, invisible. Let them come.
They arrive 10 minutes later, 6 men, careful, weapons ready. They enter the command post, find the bodies, panic visible even at distance. They search for the sniper. They check windows across the street. They scan rooftops. They never look at the rubble pile where Etienne has become stone. He lets them search, lets them fear. Then he withdraws, crawls backward through the building, exits from the rear, gone before they realize the ghost was among them all along. That night, Canadian intelligence intercepts German radio traffic. The reports are frantic, disorganized. The command structure in North Ortona has collapsed. The colonel is dead. All senior officers dead. No one knows who commands. No one knows the plan. The Canadian infantry advance 2 blocks before encountering organized resistance. 2 blocks, 50 yards. In Ortona, that is a victory, and it cost 5 bullets.
December 23rd. Angus Rutherford demonstrates why he is called the best natural marksman in the Canadian Army. The Germans have established a machine gun position in a church bell tower, elevated, protected. The MG-42 sweeps the main street every time Canadian infantry try to advance. 12 men dead in 2 days. The advance has stalled. Artillery cannot hit it. The church walls are 3 feet thick. The bell tower is solid stone. Bombs have fallen. The structure remains. Angus studies the problem. The tower is 600 yards away. Not impossible. But the opening is small. The window slot may be 18 inches wide. The gunner sits back in shadow, rarely visible. And when he is visible, for only seconds at a time. Angus and Duncan take position in a gutted apartment building. 3rd floor. Good elevation, good angle. They wait. Hours. The German gunner is smart. Fires in bursts, retreats to cover. Unpredictable timing. No pattern to exploit. Duncan watches through the spotting scope. "This one is careful," he says. "Knows we are hunting him." "Then we make him careless," Angus replies. They coordinate with the infantry. At 1400 hours, a squad will make a deliberate movement in the street. Bait. The machine gunner will not be able to resist. The squad moves, exposed, vulnerable. The MG-42 opens fire. The distinctive sound, 1,200 rounds per minute, the fastest machine gun in the world. The sound is not rat-tat-tat like in movies. It is a zipper, a continuous tearing of air. The Canadian soldiers dive for cover. None are hit. This was expected. But for 3 seconds, the German gunner is visible in the tower window, leaning forward, following his targets. 3 seconds. Angus fires. 600 yards. Wind blowing left to right at 15 miles per hour. 18-inch window, moving target. The bullet enters the tower slot, crosses 50 feet of interior space, strikes the gunner in the chest. The machine gun stops. Silence descends on the street like a physical thing. Duncan is watching through the spotting scope. He says nothing for a long moment. "Did you?" he starts. "Yes," Angus says quietly. "Through that window? At 600 yards? With that wind?" "Yes." Duncan lowers the scope, looks at his friend. Angus's face shows nothing, no pride, no emotion, just the cold calculation of distance and wind and physics. "That," Duncan says slowly, "was the best shot I have ever seen." Angus ejects the spent casing. It rings on the floor. "It was the only shot that mattered," he says. They withdraw. Behind them, Canadian infantry advance up the street unopposed. The machine gun that killed 12 men in 2 days is silent. The gunner who operated it will never fire again. That evening, Angus cleans his rifle in silence. The same ritual. Every night. Disassemble, clean, oil, reassemble. His hands move automatically. Muscle memory. Duncan watches him. "Do you ever think about them?" Duncan asks. "About who? The men we kill. Who they were. What they—" "No," Angus interrupts. His voice is flat. "I think about the men I save. The 12 who would have died if that machine gun kept firing. The 50 who would have died taking that tower by assault. The numbers I save are larger than the numbers I kill. That is the only mathematics that matters." "But they are still men," Duncan says quietly. "The ones we shoot. They have families, lives. They—" "So did my friends at Dieppe," Angus says. His voice hardens. "So did the 3,000 Canadians who died on that beach because German machine guns cut them down.
Every man I kill is one less man killing Canadians. That is the mission. That is the purpose. Everything else is noise. Duncan is silent. He wants to argue, wants to say that there must be more to it than cold mathematics. But he looks at Angus and sees something that frightens him. Angus has stopped being human. He has become the rifle. Pure function, pure purpose. No waste, no doubt, no remorse. And Duncan wonders, is that what happens to all of them eventually? Do you kill enough men, and one day you wake up and realize you have killed the man you used to be? He does not voice these thoughts. There is no point. The war does not care about philosophy. The war only cares about results. And the four of them deliver results with brutal efficiency.
December 25th, Christmas Day. The fighting does not stop. War does not respect holidays. But there is a brief pause. Both sides exhausted, both sides consolidating, both sides counting the cost. The four snipers gather in a basement that has somehow remained intact. A bottle of wine appears. Etienne found it. Where, he does not say. They pass it around. No cups, just the bottle. Uncivilized. Perfect. They do not toast. They do not speak of home. They sit in the dark and drink and listen to the sound of distant artillery. Duncan finally breaks the silence. My father told me a story once, he says. His Yukon drawl is thick. About the gold rush, 1898. Men came from all over the world, looking for gold. Most found nothing. Some found wealth. A few found death. He takes a drink, passes the bottle. There was this one man, McNamara. He came from Boston, rich family, education. He was supposed to be a lawyer, but the gold called him. So he went north, into the Yukon, into the cold. Duncan stares at nothing. He found gold, a lot of gold, enough to be rich for life. But it changed him. The wilderness, the isolation, the things he had to do to survive. When he finally came out, 2 years later, his family did not recognize him. Not his face was the same, but his eyes. His family said it was like looking into the eyes of a wolf. Silence. What happened to him? Callum asks. He went back, Duncan says, took his gold, bought supplies, went back into the Yukon, never came out again. They found his cabin 10 years later, empty, no body, no trace, just the gold, all of it, sitting there, like he walked away from everything and became part of the wilderness itself. More silence. The bottle makes another round. Why are you telling us this? Etienne asks. Because I look at us, Duncan says, and I see McNamara. We came here as men. We will leave as something else, if we leave at all. Angus speaks. His voice is cold. We leave when the war ends, not before. And what if the war ends but we cannot stop? Duncan says. What if we have become so good at killing that we forget how to do anything else? Callum has been silent. Now he speaks. Then we deal with that when the time comes. For now, we have a job, and we do it. That is all. But even as he says it, he knows Duncan is right. Something is changing in them, something fundamental. They are crossing lines they did not know existed, and with each crossing, the way back becomes harder to find. The wine runs out. They separate, return to their positions, return to their war. Christmas ends. The killing resumes. Ortona falls on December 28th. 8 days of house-to-house combat. 1,500 Canadian casualties. Estimated German casualties, over 2,000. The town is rubble. The victory is bitter. The 4 snipers have added to their counts. Callum now has 74 kills. Etienne has 63. Angus has 58. Duncan has 41. 236 German soldiers dead, by 4 men, in 5 months of combat. The Wehrmacht takes notice. January 1944. Gustav Line. The Allies push north through Italy. The Germans establish a defensive line across the narrowest part of the peninsula. Mountains, rivers, prepared positions. The advance slows to a crawl. And into this stalemate comes Hauptmann Friedrich Weber. He is 36 years old, from Munich, Olympic rifle shooter in the 1936 Berlin Games. Wehrmacht sniper instructor since 1939, Eastern Front veteran, 168 confirmed kills against Soviet forces between 1941 and 1943. He is the best the Germans have, and he has been sent west for one purpose: stop the Canadian snipers. Weber arrives in late January. He spends 2 weeks studying, reading reports, interviewing survivors, examining the evidence of Canadian sniper activity. His conclusion is documented in a report that will be captured later by Allied intelligence. The report is clinical, professional, and deeply respectful. The Canadian snipers are not soldiers who shoot well, Weber writes.
They are hunters who have adapted their skills to warfare. They work in coordinated teams. They target leadership exclusively. They are patient beyond normal human tolerance. They are invisible through superior fieldcraft. They are, quite simply, the most effective snipers I have encountered in 5 years of combat. The report continues. They can be beaten, but not by standard methods. We must hunt them as they hunt us. We must become ghosts to fight ghosts. Weber establishes a counter-sniper school, selects 12 men, trains them in Canadian methods: patience, camouflage, target selection. He teaches them to think like hunters instead of soldiers. And then he goes hunting. February 3rd, 1944. Hills, south of Casino. Callum and Etienne are in position. A German command post operates in a villa 800 yards away. They have been watching for 6 hours, waiting for a target worth the risk. Callum sees movement. An officer. Not just any officer. The insignia marks him as a major, battalion commander level. High-value target. I have him, Callum whispers. Range 815 yards. Wind. He never finishes. A bullet strikes the sandbags 6 inches from his head. The impact is massive. Dirt explodes. Both men throw themselves flat. Another bullet. This one hits the wall behind them. Stone fragments fill the air. Callum and Etienne do not move. Professional discipline. Movement draws fire. Where? Etienne breathes. Hill. Northeast. Maybe 900 yards, Callum says. His heart pounds. They have been under fire before, but never like this. Never with this precision. Never from someone who found them first. They are being hunted, and the hunter is very, very good. They wait. 20 minutes. No more shots. They begin a slow, careful withdrawal, crawling, inches at a time, taking an hour to move 50 yards. As they retreat, Callum sees something, a glint, brief, on the northeast hill, right where he estimated the enemy shooter to be. The glint of a scope. Someone is watching them leave. Someone who could kill them but chooses not to. Someone sending a message. I see you. I found you. This time I let you go. Next time you die. That night, Canadian intelligence confirms new German sniper activity. Multiple reports. Increased casualties among Canadian scouts and officers. Patterns that suggest coordinated counter-sniper operations. The Germans have adapted. The hunters are being hunted. And the hunter hunting them is extraordinary. February and March become a deadly game. Weber and his students against the 4 Canadians. Each side scores victories, each side takes losses. March 3rd. Duncan MacLeod is hit. He and Angus are operating near the Rapido River. They have been tracking German positions for 2 days, identifying targets, planning strikes. Duncan is in a shell crater. Good cover, good concealment. He has been motionless for 4 hours. The bullet comes from nowhere. No sound of the shot first. That means the shooter is close, within 300 yards. The bullet strikes Duncan's shoulder, not center mass, not immediately lethal, a deliberate wound. Duncan collapses into the crater. Blood pours from the wound. Angus is 30 yards away. Different position. He sees Duncan fall. This is a trap, the oldest sniper tactic. Wound one man. Wait for his friends to come. Kill them when they expose themselves. Angus knows this. Duncan knows this. They both know the smart move is for Angus to withdraw. Let Duncan die or be captured. Save himself. Live to fight another day. Angus does not withdraw.
He begins a movement so slow it is almost invisible, crawling toward Duncan, using every micro-fold in the terrain, every shadow, every scrap of concealment. It takes 40 minutes to cover 30 yards. German bullets strike around the crater, searching, probing. The German sniper knows someone is coming for the wounded man. He is waiting for a clear shot. Angus reaches the crater, drops in beside Duncan. Duncan's face is white, shock setting in. But his eyes are clear. "You should have left," Duncan whispers. "Shut up," Angus says. He applies pressure to the wound, calls on the radio for smoke, for covering fire, for extraction. Canadian mortars respond. Smoke rounds blanket the area, white phosphorus, thick, choking, but concealing. Under cover of smoke, Angus drags Duncan 200 yards to friendly lines. German bullets snap through the smoke, random, searching. None find their mark. They make it. Medics take Duncan. He will survive. But he is out of combat for weeks, maybe longer. The 4 have become 3. March 7th. Callum sees his chance for revenge. 4 days tracking. He has identified Weber's pattern. The German sniper operates from different locations but follows a schedule. Morning shots only, between 0600 and 0900. Then he vanishes, returns in late afternoon, 1500 to 1800. The gap is exploitable. Callum and Etienne position themselves overnight, in the dark, in a location Weber used 3 days ago. Good sightlines, good concealment. Weber might return here, might not. But Callum has a feeling. The intuition hunters develop. At 14:20 hours, movement, a figure, 900 yards away, climbing into a position on a hilltop. Through the scope, Callum can see details. German camouflage, scoped rifle. The man moves with confidence, professional, skilled. This is Weber. Callum knows it. The German settles in, begins scanning with binoculars. Callum has the shot, 687 yards, slight uphill angle. Wind minimal. The target is stationary, focused on his own observation, not expecting to be observed. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. The crosshairs settle on center mass. The trigger breaks. The bullet flies true. But at the last microsecond, Weber shifts. Not because he sees the threat, just random movement, adjusting position. The timing is catastrophic for Callum, perfect for Weber. The bullet strikes the binoculars. Weber is holding up to his eyes. The optics explode. Glass and metal fragments tear into Weber's face. He drops, blood visible even at this range. But he moves, rolls into cover, still alive. Callum curses, cycles the bolt. But Weber is gone, behind the hill, out of sight. "Hit," Etienne says, "but not dead, wound only." "I know," Callum says bitterly. They withdraw before German reinforcements arrive. That night, intelligence confirms Weber survived. Facial wounds, probably scarred, but operational. The near miss becomes legend. On both sides. The Canadian who almost killed the German master. The German who survived by random chance. The war between them is now personal. April brings exhaustion. The Italian campaign grinds on. Cassino falls. The Gustav Line cracks. The Allies push north, but slowly, at terrible cost. The mountains are unforgiving. The Germans are stubborn. Every mile costs blood. The 3 remaining snipers are tired. Not physically. They are young, strong. They can endure the physical demands. They are tired in their souls. Callum lies awake at night. 74 kills. He knows the number. Cannot stop knowing it. 74 men who will never see their families again. 74 mothers who will receive telegrams. 74 graves. He thinks of his brother, Angus, dead at Dieppe. Was it like this for him? Did he lie awake the night before, wondering if tomorrow would be his last? Did he think of home, of family, of the life he would never live? Callum tries to remember his brother's face. Cannot. The memory has faded, replaced by other faces, the faces he sees through the scope in the moment before they die. Etienne has stopped quoting French poetry. has stopped speaking unless necessary. He moves through the campaign like a machine, efficient, effective, empty. Angus visits Duncan in the hospital. Duncan's shoulder is healing, slowly. He will return to combat eventually, but something in his eyes has changed. The wound broke something, not in his body, in his belief. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," Duncan tells Angus. "Go back out there, kill more men, watch more friends die. I don't know if I have it in me." Angus has no answer. He understands. The same doubt lives in all of them, growing, spreading like rot, but they push it down, bury it, focus on the mission. Because what else is there? The war does not stop because you are tired. The enemy does not stop because you have doubts. You continue, or you die. Those are the only options. May 1944. Orders arrive. The Italian campaign is winding down. Canadian forces are being redeployed. Destination classified. But everyone knows. France, the invasion, the big push, Operation Overlord. The 4 snipers reunite. Duncan has returned to duty. The shoulder is weak but functional. He can shoot. He can fight. That is all that matters. They train together again, refine their techniques, prepare for what is coming. Major General Rod Keller, commander of the 3rd Canadian Division, calls them to a briefing. The 4 stand before him, lean, hard, eyes that have seen too much. Keller looks at them, at their records, at what they have accomplished. "You 4 have eliminated 236 enemy soldiers," he says. "Officers, sergeants, specialists. You have broken German command structures, stalled German counterattacks, saved Canadian lives by the hundreds." He pauses. "Normandy will be bigger, harder, more chaotic. The Germans know we are coming. They are prepared, fortified, ready. We need you to do what you do best. Break them. Make them afraid. Make them hesitate. Make them die." Callum feels the weight of the words, the expectation, the burden. "We'll do our job, sir," he says. "I know you will," Keller replies. "That's not what concerns me. What concerns me is what happens to you after the war, after the killing stops. Men like you," he searches for words. "Men like you carry scars no one can see. Remember that you are human. No matter how good you become at death, you are still human. Hold on to that." They are dismissed. As they leave, Callum looks back. Keller is staring at a map, looking at landing zones, beach designations, calculating casualties, the burden of command. Callum wonders if they carry the same weight. Keller will send thousands to die. The 4 of them will kill hundreds. Who bears the heavier burden? The man who orders the death, or the man who delivers it? He does not know. He suspects no one knows. June 5th, 1944. Southern England. The invasion fleet assembles. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of men. The largest military operation in human history. The fate of the world balanced on this moment. The 4 snipers board their landing craft with the rest of the 3rd Canadian Division. They check their equipment. Lee Enfield rifles, ammunition, ghillie suits packed away, knives, grenades, the tools of their trade. They do not speak. There is nothing left to say. They have trained, they have fought, they have killed, they have survived. Now they will do it again. Only bigger, harder, with more at stake than ever before. The landing craft rocks in the waves. The channel is rough. Men are seasick. The smell of vomit and diesel fuel fills the air. No one complains. In a few hours, these discomforts will seem trivial. Callum looks at his 3 brothers, Etienne, Angus, Duncan. They have bled together, killed together, survived together. They are bound by blood and bullets and the weight of 236 ghosts. If they die tomorrow, at least they will die together. But they do not plan to die. They plan to make the Germans die. That is the mission. That is the purpose. That is all that matters. June 6th, D-Day, Juno Beach. The Canadians land in the second wave. The beach is chaos. Fire, smoke, bodies. The Atlantic Wall defenses are formidable, but not invincible. The Canadian 3rd Division pushes inland, fighting through beach obstacles, through minefields, through prepared German positions, and somewhere in that chaos, 4 hunters go to work. The ghosts have come to Normandy, and for Klaus Hartmann and 10,000 German soldiers, the nightmare has only just begun. June 6, 1944, 07:45 hours, Juno Beach, Nanwhite Sector. The ramp drops, water and fire and screaming metal. Callum Mackay wades into chest-deep surf. Cold. The channel is always cold. Men fall around him, some to enemy fire, some to the weight of their equipment, both kill just as dead. He reaches the beach, finds cover behind a Czech hedgehog, steel anti-tank obstacles jutting from the sand like the bones of some prehistoric creature. Bullets snap overhead. Mortar rounds churn the sand into fountains of debris. This is not sniping, this is survival. Beside him, Etienne appears, then Angus, then Duncan. All 4 made it off the boat. All 4 made it through the water. Alive. For now. The beach is chaos. But the Canadian 3rd Division is good. Very good. They trained for this. They push forward. Through obstacles. Through fire. Through the bodies of those who landed first. By noon, the beach is secured. The Canadians push inland, into the bocage, into the hedgerow country where every field is a fortress and every stone wall hides death. And here, in this green maze, the 4 hunters begin their work again. The first week is a blur of movement and violence. The Germans are everywhere and nowhere. You clear a field, move to the next. Get fired on from the field you just cleared. The bocage is a nightmare. 300 yards visibility maximum, often less. Perfect for snipers. Both sides. June 8th, Callum and Etienne eliminate 4 German officers in 6 hours. Range never more than 300 yards. Close work, intimate. Through the scope, you can see expressions, fear, surprise, the moment of realization that comes too late. June 10th, Angus and Duncan hit a German mortar team. 3 men dead before they understand what is happening. The mortars that had been killing Canadians all morning go silent. June 12th, all 4 work together. A coordinated strike on a German battalion headquarters. They position themselves at 4 compass points around the target. When the officers emerge for their morning briefing, the 4 rifles speak within seconds of each other. 7 Germans dead. Complete command collapse. The battalion's counterattack never materializes. The Germans are learning to fear the bocage, not because of the terrain, because of what hunts in it. Canadian intelligence intercepts radio traffic. The translations are desperate, frightened. Officers will not lead. They are being killed the moment they show rank. We have moved headquarters 3 times in 2 days. They find us every time. Die Geister sind hier. The ghosts are here. But the ghosts are paying a price too. June 16th. The day everything changes. Duncan and Angus are working the south sector near Orthy. A German strongpoint is holding up the advance. They have been tasked with clearing it, or at least making it vulnerable. They approach at dawn, slow, careful, the stalking skills learned in England, perfected in Sicily, refined in Italy. They are very good now, perhaps too good. Confidence breeds carelessness. They establish position in a hedgerow, 200 yards from the German position. Duncan is shooter, Angus is spotter. Through the scope, Duncan can see Germans moving, changing guard, morning routine. He identifies targets, an NCO organizing the watch, a machine gunner checking his weapon. "I have the sergeant," Duncan whispers. "Range 210 yards. Wind left to right, 3 miles per hour, Angus says. "Take him." Duncan settles in. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold. The shot comes from behind them, not in front. Behind. The bullet enters Duncan's neck, just below the base of the skull, severs the spinal column. He is dead before his finger leaves the trigger. Angus throws himself flat, training, instinct, but part of him wants to reach for Duncan, to help, to do something. Duncan lies still, blood pools in the grass, too much blood, too fast. Angus knows. He has seen enough death to recognize it instantly. Duncan is gone. He begins to crawl backward, away from Duncan's body, away from the shooter he cannot see. It takes everything in him to leave his friend, but staying means dying, and dying means Duncan died for nothing. He crawls 300 yards, takes 2 hours, finally reaches Canadian lines, collapses behind a stone wall. The other soldiers see his face, see the blood on his uniform. Duncan's blood. "Where's MacLeod?" someone asks. Angus cannot speak. He just shakes his head. Later, they recover Duncan's body. The wound is professional, precise, calculated. This was not random fire. This was a sniper, a good one. Possibly Weber himself. Duncan MacLeod, 23 years old, from the Yukon, 46 confirmed kills, dead in a French hedgerow 6 miles from the beach where he landed 10 days earlier. They bury him that evening. No ceremony, no time. A rifle stuck in the earth, a helmet on top, dog tags hanging from the stock, the temporary marker of a temporary grave. Callum, Etienne and Angus stand before it, silent. There are no words. Duncan was their brother, not by blood, by something deeper, forged in fire and sealed with the deaths of 236 enemies. Now he is gone, and the 3 remaining feel the absence like a physical wound. "We should say something," Angus finally says. "What is there to say?" Etienne replies. His voice is hollow. "He died doing the job. That is all." "It's not all," Callum says quietly. "He died because we brought him here, because we made him into this. A hunter, a killer, a ghost. And now he's actually a ghost, just not the kind we wanted." Angus looks at him. "You think this is our fault?" "I think we all knew this could happen," Callum says. "Every day, every mission, we knew one of us might not come back. And now one of us hasn't. And tomorrow we go back out. And maybe tomorrow it's me, or you, or Etienne. And the war goes on, and the killing goes on, and eventually we all end up with rifles stuck in the earth and helmets on top." "Then why do we keep doing it?" Angus asks. Callum has no answer. He thought he did, once. Revenge for his brother. Duty. Mission. But standing here, looking at Duncan's grave, those reasons feel thin, insufficient, like trying to fill an ocean with a cup. "Because stopping means Duncan died for nothing," Etienne says. "We continue. We finish. We win. That gives meaning to his death." "Does it?" Callum asks. "Or does it just mean more graves, more markers, more men who don't come home?" They stand in silence. 3 men who have killed hundreds. 3 men who cannot save one friend. Finally they leave, walk away from the grave, return to their war. Because what else is there? Duncan is dead. The war is not. The loss of Duncan breaks something in them. Not immediately, not obviously, but slowly. Like a crack in ice that spreads unseen until the whole sheet shatters. They become harder, colder, more ruthless. July 18th, near Caen. A German supply convoy moves through a village. Angus spots them first. 6 trucks, maybe 40 soldiers. Too many for 3 snipers to engage directly. But Callum has an idea. A dark idea. "Wound the driver of the lead truck," he says to Angus. "Leg shot. Make him scream." Angus understands immediately. So does Etienne. They both hesitate. "This is not clean," Etienne says. "War is not clean," Callum replies. "Duncan is dead because the Germans have good snipers too. Maybe this makes them think twice." "Or it makes us like them," Angus says. "We are already like them," Callum says. His voice is ice. "We just pretend we're not. Take the shot." Angus takes the shot. The driver screams. The truck swerves, stops. The driver is visible, clutching his leg, bleeding, crying out for help. 2 Germans jump from the truck, medics, running to help, doing what medics do. Callum shoots one. Etienne shoots the other. Both fall beside the wounded driver. An officer emerges, shouting orders, trying to organize a response. Angus shoots him. The officer drops. Another soldier attempts to drag the wounded driver to cover. Callum shoots him too. Now the Germans understand. This is a trap, a kill zone. Anyone who moves dies. They hunker down behind the trucks, frozen, terrified. The three snipers watch. Wait. Eventually, a German makes a run for better cover. Etienne drops him. It continues. For 20 minutes. Any movement draws fire. The Germans are pinned, helpless, prey. Finally, Canadian infantry arrives. The Germans surrender rather than face more invisible death. They come out with hands raised, faces white. Some are crying. That night, Callum sits alone. He can still hear the wounded driver screaming.
The sound lasted 6 minutes before the man bled out. 6 minutes of agony, while his friends watched and could not help. This is what they have become. Not soldiers, not even hunters. Something worse. Predators who use wounded prey as bait, who kill medics, who turn mercy into a weapon. Duncan would have hated this. Duncan had protested when they used these tactics in Italy. Duncan had argued that some lines should not be crossed. Duncan is dead, and the three survivors have crossed every line. Callum wonders if this is how it happens, how men become monsters. Not suddenly, not obviously, just one compromise at a time, one crossed line, one darkened corner of the soul, until you look in the mirror and do not recognize the thing looking back. July ends. August begins. The Normandy campaign grinds toward its conclusion. The Germans are in full retreat. The Allied breakout is unstoppable. The three snipers continue their work. Their kill counts climb. Callum reaches 103. Etienne reaches 87. Angus reaches 79. Combined, including Duncan's final tally, they have eliminated 315 German soldiers, more than a battalion. 4 men, now 3, doing the work of hundreds. But the numbers have stopped meaning anything. They are just abstractions, marks on a tally. The individual deaths have blurred together, become indistinguishable. Only the mechanical details remain. The wind, the range, the drop. Never the face, never the man. September. The Allies liberate Paris, push toward Germany. The end seems near. But the Germans are not beaten. They retreat to their borders, dig in, prepare for the final defense. And in October, the Canadians are given a new mission, the Scheldt Estuary. The Gate, October 1944. The Scheldt. If Normandy was hell, the Scheldt is the place where hell goes to die. Flat, flooded, cold. The Germans have opened the dikes. Water covers everything. You wade through freezing water that reaches your waist, your knees, sometimes your chest. The cold is paralyzing. Men develop hypothermia in hours. There is no cover, no trees, no buildings, just water and mud and the occasional dike that rises a few feet above the flood. The Germans are dug in on the high ground, what little there is. They have fields of fire measured in miles, machine guns, artillery, mortars, and snipers, good ones. Weber is here, along with his students. The three Canadians operate in the worst conditions imaginable. They lie in freezing water for hours, waiting, watching, taking shots when opportunities present, then withdrawing before German artillery obliterates their position. It is brutal, exhausting, soul-destroying, but they do the work. One target at a time, one bullet at a time. Breaking the German defense piece by piece. October 23rd. Callum achieves his longest shot of the war, 847 yards. A German officer coordinating artillery fire. The man drops. The artillery goes silent. November 2nd. Etienne infiltrates a German position at night, plants charges, waits for the German officers to gather for morning briefing. Detonates. 7 dead. Etienne escapes in the chaos. November 5th. Angus engages in a duel with a German sniper. They trade shots for 4 hours. Neither can locate the other definitively. Finally, Angus makes a guess. Fires at a shadow in a window 600 yards away. The shadow falls. The German sniper is dead. Maybe it was Weber, maybe not. They never confirm. But the German sniper activity in that sector ends, and Angus allows himself to believe he killed the man who killed Duncan. November 8th. The Scheldt is secured. The Germans surrender or retreat. Antwerp is open. The supplies will flow. The 3 snipers have survived. Callum has 141 kills.
Etienne has 103, Angus has 94. 338 Germans dead. Combined with Duncan's 46, the four hunters have eliminated 384 enemy soldiers. Nearly 2 companies, 4 men, 18 months. December. They are pulled from the line, rest and refit. The war will continue through the winter. But for now, they have done enough. They sit in a ruined barn somewhere in Belgium. A fire burns in a barrel. It is snowing outside. Christmas approaches. Callum looks at his hands. They are shaking. Not from cold, from something else, something deep inside that has finally cracked. "I can't do this anymore," he says quietly. Etienne and Angus look at him. "Can't do what?" Angus asks. "This. Killing. I close my eyes and I see them. All of them. 141 faces. I told myself I wouldn't remember faces. I lied. I remember every one." "We all do," Etienne says. "That is the price." "The price is too high," Callum says. "Duncan is dead. We're alive. But what are we? We're not the men we were. We're not even soldiers anymore. We're just killers. That's all we know how to do. That's all we are." Silence. The fire crackles. "Then what do we do?" Angus asks. "The war is not over. Our job is not done." "I know," Callum says. "I'll finish. I'll do my duty. But when this ends, if I survive, I'm going to try to remember how to be human again, if that's even possible." "It is not possible," Etienne says flatly. "What we have done cannot be undone. We can pretend, we can try, but we will always be what the war made us. Ghosts. Even when the war ends, we will be ghosts." He is right. They all know it. Some transformations are permanent. May 8th, 1945. VE Day. Victory in Europe. The war ends. Germany surrenders. The killing stops. The 3 survivors are in Germany when they hear. They do not celebrate. They sit in silence, processing. The war that defined them is over. Now what? They are discharged in September. Return to Canada. Return home. But home is a place they left, and the men who return are not the men who departed. Callum Mackay returns to Cape Breton in October 1945. He is 25 years old. He looks 40. His mother Margaret meets him at the dock. She looks at her son, sees the stranger inside him, embraces him anyway. "You came back," she says. "Not all of me," he replies. He tries to resume life, to fish, to hunt, to be normal. It does not work. The first time he takes his rifle into the woods to hunt deer, he lies in position, settles the crosshairs on a buck. His finger touches the trigger, and he sees a German soldier, a young man, 19, 20, someone's son. He is looking at Callum through the scope, confused, not understanding that death is coming. Callum lowers the rifle. The deer walks away. He does not hunt again. The nightmares start. Every night, sometimes multiple times. He wakes screaming, sees faces, hears screams, smells cordite and blood, and the sweet rot smell of bodies in the sun. His sister Moira, married now with a baby, invites him for dinner. He cannot go. Too many people, too much noise. He sits in his room and stares at walls. His mother finds a bottle of whiskey under his bed, then another, then 6 more. He is drinking himself toward oblivion, trying to drown the ghosts. It does not work. The ghosts know how to swim. In 1950, he attempts suicide. Pills. His sister finds him, saves him. He is hospitalized. 8 weeks in psychiatric care. A doctor talks to him, Dr. Alistair Morrison, a veteran himself, Vimy Ridge, 1917. He understands. "The war made you a weapon," Morrison says. "Now you must become a man again. It will take longer than the war did. It will be harder. There will be days you want to quit. But you can do this." Callum begins group therapy with other veterans, men who have seen combat, men who carry ghosts. Slowly, painfully, he begins to heal. Not completely. Never completely, but enough. In 1951, he becomes a sniper instructor for the Canadian Forces at CFB Gagetown. He teaches marksmanship, fieldcraft, survival. He never discusses his war, never speaks of his kills. The students call him the Silent One. They respect him, fear him a little, learn from him. In 1954, he marries Catherine Fraser, a nurse who helped him during his hospitalization. She knows what he is, what he carries. She accepts him anyway. They have 3 children, Duncan, Margaret, Angus, named for those he lost and those he loved. He is a decent father, distant, but decent. He tries. He retires in 1978, lives quietly, fishes, reads, never hunts, never speaks of the war. Catherine protects him from questions, from reporters, from people who want to hear war stories. There are no stories, only ghosts. Etienne Deschamps returns to Quebec in November 1945. 26 years old, 103 kills. He finds his father waiting, Jean-Baptiste, old now, weathered. He looks at his son and sees death looking back. Tu es revenu, the old man says. You came back. Oui, Etienne replies. But he has not come back, not really. He tries to trap, to return to the forests, but the wilderness is different now, or he is different. He sets traps for beaver and sees German soldiers caught in wire. He tracks rabbits and sees officers falling through his scope. He cannot sleep in buildings, too enclosed, too much like the rubble of Ortona. He sleeps outside, in all weather, under stars, the old trapper way. In 1948, he becomes a conservation officer, Quebec Ministry of Natural Resources. He tracks poachers, finds lost hikers, protects wildlife. It is good work, important, but it does not erase what he has done. He saves 23 lives over his career. Hikers lost in winter, children wandered from camp, hunters injured in remote areas. He tracks them with the skills that once tracked men to their deaths. This time, he brings life instead. He never marries, cannot. How can he share himself when there is nothing left to share? The war took everything, left only the ghost, but he finds peace of a kind with a Cree elder, a spiritual man who teaches him ceremony, teaches him that taking life creates debt. That debt must be repaid. You took 103 lives, the elder says. You must honor them by preserving life. Every life you save reduces the debt. So Etienne saves lives. 23. Not enough to balance 103, but something, a small payment on an infinite debt. Angus Rutherford returns to Saskatchewan in December 1945. 30 years old, 94 kills. He finds his farm, his parents, his Métis family. They welcome him, but he cannot stay. The open prairie reminds him too much of open fields, of sight lines, of kill zones. He sees German soldiers in the wheat, hears Duncan's voice in the wind, wakes up swinging at shadows. His father finds him one morning. Angus has a rifle, pointed at the barn, screaming at German soldiers who are not there. They take him to Saskatchewan Hospital. He is institutionalized for 6 months, diagnosed with severe combat neurosis, what later generations will call PTSD. He improves, slowly, but improvement is not cure. He is released in 1947, tries to return to normal life, cannot. In 1956, Callum finds him, tracks him down. Angus is living in a shack in the wilderness, alone, half mad with memories. You can't do this, Callum says. You can't let the war win. Duncan wouldn't want this. Duncan is dead because I wasn't good enough, Angus says. I should have seen that German sniper, should have protected him. You can't protect everyone, Callum says. I couldn't protect my brother at Dieppe. You couldn't protect Duncan in Normandy. But we're still here, and we owe it to them to live, not like this, better than this. Callum gets Angus a job, hunting guide in the Canadian Rockies, using his skills for good, teaching rich men to hunt ethically, to respect the animal, to take only clean shots. It helps, not completely, but enough. Angus marries in 1960. Sarah Whitehorse, Cree. She understands damage, accepts him. They have 2 children, a decent life. The PTSD never leaves, but he manages it, survives it.
November 1983, Ottawa, Canadian War Museum. The museum is hosting an exhibit, Sniper Warfare, the Canadian Legacy. It features Lee Enfield rifles, ghillie suits, photographs of the 4 hunters, their story. Callum attends, 63 years old now, grey, weathered, still lean, eyes still sharp. Etienne is there, 64, silent as ever. They shake hands, embrace briefly, say nothing. No words needed. Angus arrives, 67, walking with a cane. The stroke has weakened him, but his mind is clear. They stand before the exhibit, looking at photographs of young men, themselves, a lifetime ago, a different war, a different world. "We look so young," Callum says. "We were young," Etienne replies. "The war aged us." They stand in silence. Other veterans arrive, families, children who want to hear stories. The 3 men say nothing. They never tell the stories. There is nothing to tell that would not poison the telling. Then a commotion at the entrance. A delegation. German veterans. They were invited. Reconciliation. Understanding. The wars are over. Time to heal. Among them, an older man, tall, thin, grey hair. He walks with purpose, stops in front of the 3 Canadians. He looks at them, recognition in his eyes. "You are them," he says, German accent thick. "The ghosts. Die Geister." Callum studies him. Something familiar. The face. Older now, but recognizable. "Normandy," Callum says. "June 15th. You were in a patrol near Orthy." Klaus Hartmann nods. "Your bullets killed my friends. Obergefreiter Werner Vogel, others. We never saw you." Silence. "What do you say to a man whose friends you killed?" Klaus continues. "I am architect now, Leipzig. I rebuild. Schools, hospitals, places of life. The war destroyed. I rebuild. It is, how do you say, penance." "We understand penance," Etienne says quietly. Klaus looks at them, really looks, sees the weight they carry, the ghosts that follow them. "You were very good," he says. "The best we faced. We were terrified, every day, not knowing where you were, when the bullet would come. It was," he searches for words, "psychological warfare. You broke us, not with bombs, not with tanks, with fear." "That was the mission," Angus says. "Yes," Klaus nods, "and you succeeded. But the fear, it never left. Even now, even here, safe, 40 years later. Sometimes I hear a sound, a crack, and I am 19 again, in Normandy, diving for cover, waiting to die." "We understand that too," Callum says. "We carry the same fear. We were the hunters, but we were also the hunted. Weber hunted us. He killed our friend." "Weber," Klaus says. "Ja, Hauptmann Weber. He survived the war, returned to Munich, became a teacher, hunting instructor. He taught young people to shoot, for sport, not war. He died in 1979, 71 years old. Heart attack, peaceful." Callum absorbs this. The man who killed Duncan lived to 71, died peacefully. There is no justice in war, only survival. "He spoke of you," Klaus continues, "in his later years, said you were the best opponents he ever faced. He respected you, feared you, but respected you. He said if he had to die, dying by a Canadian bullet would have been honorable." "There is no honor in war," Callum says, "only necessity. We did what we had to do. So did he. So did you. Young men following orders, killing each other. For what? Land, politics, things that don't matter. But the dead stay dead, and the living carry them forever." Klaus nods, extends his hand. "No forgiveness needed, just understanding. We were all victims, even those of us who survived." Callum takes the hand. They shake. Enemy and enemy. Now just old men, scarred by the same war. Etienne and Angus shake hands with Klaus as well. Brief conversations, halting, but genuine. Other German veterans approach. Stories are exchanged, carefully, respectfully. The barriers between enemies dissolve, replaced by the shared understanding of those who have seen combat, who have carried the weight, who have paid the price. That evening, the three Canadians sit in a hotel bar, quiet, reflecting. "Duncan should be here," Angus says. "He is here," Callum replies. "In a way, part of him never left France. Part of him is in all of us." 384, Etienne says quietly. "That is how many we killed. Together. 4 men." "Don't count," Callum says. "The counting never helps." "I count anyway," Etienne says. "Every night. 103. My share. 103 men who never went home." "We saved lives too," Angus says. "Every officer we killed, every machine gunner, every artillery spotter. They would have killed Canadians. Maybe hundreds, maybe thousands." "Does that balance?" Callum asks. "I have 3 children, 7 grandchildren. Good lives. Would I trade them for the 141 men I killed? Would I give up my family to bring back theirs? I don't know. I think the answer is supposed to be yes, but I don't know." They sit in silence. 3 old men, 3 warriors, 3 ghosts who learned to live again. Barely. "I am tired," Etienne says finally. "So tired. Not in body, in soul. I have carried this for 38 years. "It will always be heavy," Callum says. "That is the price. We took lives, we saved lives, we served our country, we did our duty. But the price is that we carry every single death, forever, until we die." "Was it worth it?" Angus asks. "If you could go back, knowing what you know now, would you do it again?" Callum thinks. Long and hard. His brother died at Dieppe. That was the reason he enlisted. Revenge, justice, duty. Did he achieve those things? "I don't know," he says honestly. "I killed 141 men. Maybe I saved lives. Maybe I just added to the death. I don't know if the world is better because of what we did, but I know I am not better. None of us are. We lost something in the war, something we can never get back." "Then it was not worth it," Etienne says. "Maybe not for us," Callum says, "but maybe for our children. They grew up in peace. They never saw war, never had to kill, never had to carry what we carry. If our suffering bought them that, then maybe it was worth it." They raise their glasses. A toast. Not to victory, not to honor, just to survival. "To Duncan," Angus says, "who did not survive, but who we carry anyway." "To Duncan," they echo. They drink. 3 old snipers, 3 ghosts, 3 men who learned that winning and surviving are not the same thing. Callum Mackay dies in 2003, 83 years old, lung cancer. His family surrounds him. His final words are unclear, but Catherine thinks he says "cleared," as in the shot was clear, the mission complete, permission to rest. Etienne Deschamps died in 1992, 73 years old. Heart attack in the forest he loved. They find him 2 days later, peaceful, finally at rest. He is buried in a Cree ceremony, per his request, the old trapper returning to the earth. Angus Rutherford dies in 1998, 82 years old. Stroke, on a hunting trip with his grandson, in the mountains, under stars, teaching until the end, exactly as he wanted to go. Duncan MacLeod rests in Bretteville-sur-Lez Canadian War Cemetery. Plot 4, Row B, Grave 7. 23 years old forever, never aged, never saw peace. The land he helped liberate became his grave. Friedrich Weber died in 1979, 71 years old, in Munich, teaching children to shoot, peacefully. He never spoke publicly about the war, carried his own ghosts until the end. 4 hunters from Canadian wilderness became legends, became ghosts, became men again, barely. They killed 384 enemies and saved thousands of friends. They broke German armies with patience and bullets and invisible fear. They were the best at what they did, perhaps the best there ever was. The cost was their souls. They carried 141 deaths, 103 deaths,
94 deaths, 46 deaths, every single day, until they died. That is the price warriors pay. They become very good at death, and death becomes very good at haunting them. They do what is asked, pay the cost, so others do not have to. The ghosts of the Western Front were real, but they were not supernatural. They were men. Young men who learned to hunt other men, who became so skilled that entire armies feared them, who killed hundreds and saved thousands and lost themselves in the process. Remember them, not with parades, not with speeches, but with understanding, with recognition that some prices are too high, but someone pays them anyway. Callum Mackay, Etienne Deschamps, Angus Rutherford, Duncan MacLeod, warriors who fought, survivors who suffered, men who became ghosts so others could live free. Sleep well tonight, because they could not.